Tune in to Talking Law with Attorney Daryl O'Neill and a special guest host, Attorney Jerome Payne. Live TV talk on your digital device, on Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV.
Welcome to Talking Law with Daryl O'Neill. I'm your host. I got my main man with me, Jerome.
What's up, Daryl?
Hey, man, another day in the neighborhood.
Absolutely, man.
You know, we spent last show talking about civil rights.
Yes.
And we want to have a little bit more because this is a good day coming in.
Well, Daryl, did we talk about civil rights? Did we talk about the Constitution of the United States of America?
Well, yeah. We talked about the Constitution and how...
And how it was designed to protect citizens of the country.
No.
Every
citizen that didn't look like us is what it was protected. It was put in place to protect people because they didn't think about we wasn't considered human. Man.
Well, we were three-fifths humans.
Man, we have no rights.
Yeah, none at all.
No rights. Yeah.
But you forgot to do your shout-outs there.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, I started getting aside when we started talking about this because I believe in it.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, and I mean I live by it.
Absolutely.
But when it was established, and anyway, so we need to first say our shout outs. So welcome to Little Rock.
Yeah.
We always start off in Little Rock.
Yeah,
Welcome
okay.
to Little Rock. I'm sorry. Welcome to Roku, Apple TV, Fire Stick.
And Facebook
Live,
yes.
YouTube Live.
Yes.
Those are all the people that, if you want to pick the phone up and call us, and Miss Debbie can put the number on there if they want to, but if you want to pick the phone up and call us and we'll answer any question you have at any time.
And it would be great there to have some interaction with the audience on tonight. I just feel like there are some questions out there that we need to answer tonight.
Man, there's always some questions out there. So, I mean, but it ain't like days have changed.
That's right.
Yeah. So welcome to Little Rock. Welcome to West Memphis. Welcome to Shelby County.
Yes.
Welcome to Mississippi. And then always welcome to the great state of Missouri, Mom.
Absolutely.
Family. Yeah. So, Jerome, we want to talk today, y'all. Last week we talked about the Constitution. We talked about brutality and things of that nature.
Yes.
But really what we were doing is we were setting you up to bring you in to Monday,
yes.
which is Dr. Martin Luther King's day.
Yes.
Birthday. It's the actual
Yes.
celebration day.
Yes.
And here's my question, Jerome. If the Civil Rights Act was established in 1871, why do we have a civil rights movement in the 60s?
That's an excellent question. In fact, that's what caused the people to be motivated to make the change, because Dr. King said, somewhere I read that all men are created equal. Somewhere I read that they had a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And so it was all based on the Constitution of the United States. It's a wonderful document. And it's a document that's the envy of the entire world.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, it is. I mean, and it's amazing.
Yes.
I mean, when the forefathers put all that together, man, I got to tell you, man, that was, I started teaching my children the Constitution, man, as soon as they can read.
Oh, that's great, man.
Now I don't know how much they remember now, because they start being their friends.
Well, the Bible says you train them up in the way they should go.
Yeah.
When they get old, they won't depart from it.
They get to a certain age, they're gonna do their own thing.
So anything that you put into them when they are young and they're like sponges soaking it up, it's there. Mm-hmm. Good job, man.
Well, but the thing is, when you look at that Constitution, or the preamble and all that, all men are created equal.
Right.
And, it doesn't say woman or women.
That's right.
It was back, and the reason why I didn't say women is because back in the day, a woman was considered basically
be careful there.
Be careful here.
Be careful.
A woman was considered, I want to say, the ownership of their husband. Of
right.
Men.
That's right.
And so
that's right.
they were basically under the men.
That's right.
And so when they said men, they were basically also saying women.
Well, absolutely. We were what we call a patriarchal society where men rule, but not only just a man, but it was property owners who were in charge of everything.
Right.
And and the one who writes the rules usually bend them toward whatever they're satisfied with. So yes, you're absolutely right.
And here's the thing, and I'm gonna tell you, one of the things that I used to tell my kids is, the Constitution is a living, breathing document. And here's how you know that. When the forefathers put it in, they said men are created equally. Well, when the Constitution established, people of color and women didn't have rights.
That's right. Exactly.
And so now we assume that title means everybody.
That's exactly right.
Men, women, black, white, whatever.
Right.
And so that tells you how it just continues to, live.
That's right.
Breathe, just keep on going. But Jerome, you I'm not letting you off, man.
Yeah.
I ask you, man, if the Civil Rights Act, and if y'all think I'm wrong, look it up. The Civil Rights Act was established in 1871. And if you think I'm wrong, look it up. And I challenge anybody to say I'm wrong. It was established in...
Call us up and tell him he's wrong if he's wrong, all right?
The Civil Rights Act was established in 1871. So if that was established in 1870, Congress passed that in 1871.
I don't think it was the Civil Rights Act, because we talked about it. It was the you're talking about the
83 series.
1983, but so that's not called the Civil Rights Act.
Oh, actually it is.
Civil Rights Act?
That's what it's called.
Is that right? Okay.
It's the Civil Rights Act of 1871.
I apologize then.
No.
I thought that came from the 60s, the Civil Rights movement. So they were adopting what had happened in 1867.
Yeah, because the Civil Rights statutes.
Okay.
It's 42, so it's the 42 series.
Right.
So the civil rights one you're talking about, which is the Title VII and those types of things.
Okay.
It came under the Pollard chicken cases and all that stuff.
Right.
Well, that was 42 USC 2000.
Okay, I got you. Okay.
The civil rights, the actual 42 USC 1983, 81, 84, 85, 86 are all civil rights statutes.
All back from 1800s there.
1871. So if we had civil rights in 1871, again, my question to you is, why do we need the civil rights movement in the 60s?
Well, there were maybe a couple of things there. For one thing, like I tell people all the time, you can have a right on the books, but if you're not able to access it, it's a nullity, and that's what it was. It was on the books, but the people who looked like you and I were denied the right to do it, and so that's why we had to come back and try and use the same the law that was already on the book in order to make it have some force behind it.
Yeah.
And so that's why it was a successful movement, because it was already on the books. You can't deny what was already in the books. So it just had to have some teeth in it, and many times the teeth just took a while. I mean, it's kind of like we got 32 molars or whatever it is. It just took a while.
Well,
but what's so exciting about it is that we got there.
No, well, and again, you look at it because the original civil rights, when the Civil Rights Act was originally put in place, it was put in place because we just came out of the Civil War,
right?
And so that was the legislation that was trying to get things, because at that point, blacks had just came out of slavery,
right? Blacks
didn't really have rights, and the Civil Rights Act really was all about minorities. Well, I'm sorry, not minorities. It was blacks.
Blacks, yeah.
It wasn't minorities.
Blacks.
That's a term that we've used in recent years. But it was about blacks.
So in other words, there, that group of senators and House of Representatives, those individuals, at that time decided that it was time to do something to protect the rights of the newly freed slaves.
Right, and that was the Republican Party also.
Right. Yeah, Lincoln. That's Lincoln's party.
It was. Yeah, not Reagan's Republican Party. It was Lincoln's Republican Party. Yeah. It was. Yeah, and so. I mean, and that's, as a matter of fact, a lot of the legislators during that time, they had brought in black legislators. Oh. And they were Republicans. They were black.
Yeah.
But as time has gone on, they have, the Republican ideology, black people still hold that ideology. Mm-hmm. But they start separating on is education, poverty, government involvement.
Okay.
That's where the separation starts.
Okay.
So that, that separation is why a lot of, people of color primarily have started had transitioned over into the
abandoned that group of people who did not want to support legislation that would help poor people. Yeah. Illiterate people, and women. So women had not even been considered at that point yet, because it took another 100 years or so before they became recognizable, isn't it?
Well, I wouldn't say 100 years, but I mean it took a little while.
Okay,
it took a little while because I mean, I think that 1871 voting rights and all that stuff, because I think that's all the acts and all that stuff gave all us a lot of rights to vote too.
Okay.
But then that's when all of the different testing came in. If you was a black person, you could vote, but you had to count how many marbles was in the bottle.
Or had a poll tax. I saw something today where, with the problem we're having now with the Voting Rights Act, where the guy said that his daddy was sitting at the table and crying because he didn't have $1.17
mm-hmm.
poll tax
mm-hmm.
before he could vote.
Mm-hmm.
$1.17 was a lot of money for a person who had nothing.
Yeah.
And so the poll tax, like you said, the all these different questions they had to answer.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, you had better not even show up.
And some of that you got beat up and killed for showing up.
They're trying to show up to vote.
And that's, and not to have a problem with that. You have and that's why it's always disconcerting.
Oh my God!
When people don't vote.
Especially
people that look like us.
It's absolutely heartbreaking.
Because that was the time, Jerome, where you couldn't vote.
It's heartbreaking to watch how our people can respond to a concert ticket, or if there's a new Jordans
mm-hmm.
that comes out, people start lining up days before it's released, but they won't go to the polls and vote.
Man, my pops voted all the way till he died, man. I mean,
wouldn't dare miss voting.
Man,
you had to carry him there.
Man, dog, if I got to vote for myself, I got to write in. I mean, that's kind of how he thought about it. And again, I don't want to say anything bad about that, because what we know is you have a right. You have a right to make a decision, and that is to vote or not to vote. Because before that, we had the rights, but you couldn't vote.
You couldn't vote.
Right.
That's exactly right.
So now that you have a right to make a decision on whether or not you want to vote or not want to vote, I don't want to say that you should be forced to vote, because that's that defeats the purpose.
Well, that's true. I wouldn't say, but I think it's an obligation to pay back the people who actually gave the full measure. And Dr. King is one of those people who gave the full measure. Many times because and I really feel blessed that I was born during an era when the civil rights movement was in full bloom. I was a junior when Dr. King got killed in 1968, and I graduated in 1969.
Mm-hmm.
But 65, 66, 67, 68 was the best time in America as far as black unity was concerned. Mm-hmm. Even when I think about the Montgomery bus boycott, when the people decided that they were tired and they did not no longer wanted to be segregated riding on public transportation. Mm-hmm. So what you had to do there was you stand on the corner and wait on the bus to come. You go through the front door, you pay your fee, get back off the bus, go around to the side door, and go in the side door and go to the back of the bus. That's why we always talk about the back of the bus. That's where it came from. Mm-hmm. Black people had to ride at the back of the bus. That's where Rosa Parks came from. Mm-hmm. When Rosa's feet, her dogs were...
They was barking like a mug, boy.
Her dogs were barking one day, and she said, you know what? This is ludicrous. I am not moving. And one reason too now, I think, is that it was full back there in this section too. Mm-hmm. So that meant that she probably would have to stand. Mm-hmm. You know, no matter how many seats were available up front, she still had to stand. Mm-hmm. And so she decided that I'm going to sit so we could stand. Mm-hmm. And Dr. King walked so we could walk. Mm-hmm. So I'm fully involved in making sure that our people understand what it cost them to be able to do what they do. You can see how callous some people are about voting, about registering, about education. Do you know that you would probably get 100 lashes for having a book in your hand?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's funny you say that, man. In some of the earlier books that I read, Frederick Douglass, Richard Wright.
Yes. Native Son. Yeah.
No, it was
Black Like Me. And those,
no, Black Boy.
Yeah, Black Boy. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, Richard. Some of those earlier books, man. You know, you start saying to yourself, man, it was illegal to learn how to. I mean, you got caught learning how to read.
You better not act like you wanted to learn how to read.
You know, Booker T. I mean, this was that. Yeah, you know, just you know, I mean, it was illegal. It was I guess, for lack of a better, criminal offense to be trying to read.
It was a death offense. You would be dead there.
Yeah, I mean, I read the books, man. I mean, you know,
but it's real.
No.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's why critical race theory, teaching the critical race theory, is so important.
Now, tell me, what is that critical race theory?
That's where we examine all of the things that we're talking about now at a level where it's appreciated. I mean, we can teach it at home.
Why do we call that critical race? Why don't we just call that history?
Well, that's what we would like to call it.
I mean, okay, and it's disgusting, man. I'll tell you this, because when I was in high school, and even in grade school, I didn't learn about a lot of the stuff that's, you know, I didn't learn about, you know, what I learned about the Civil War was, you know, more about manufacturing, you know, cotton gin and different things of that nature. You know, the manufacturing aspects of it. You know, what's called the manufacturing revolution.
Industrial revolution.
Industrial revolution.
Right.
I mean, I learned those types of things.
And like you say, it's really simple to teach history, no matter how it impacts you. It's still the truth. And so some people have said that the reason why the critical race theory is running into such a problem now is because it has the tendency to make white people feel bad. The Caucasians feel bad about how they conducted themselves at that time. But when we think about it, they've had really been some brutal people for years, how they did the Indians, how they did the Japanese, how they did the Irish when the Irish people first got into this country. So the only way to straighten a matter out is you got to look back, make a decision. This will never happen again.
Supposedly.
Because we've learned,
right? Supposedly.
But you can't learn if you're covering up.
Yeah. Yes, good. And so supposedly, yeah, but history.
It will repeat itself. It will repeat itself if you don't
repeat the same mistake.
That's exactly right.
But I mean, see, my problem, Jerome, is when we start naming and trying to make something, somebody said in what I call it the think tank. And so, you know what we're going to do? We're going to teach this, and we're going to call it critical race theory. That's called American history. Let's just call it what it is.
Well, we already got something that's labeled as American history.
Yeah, but what we have is American history that doesn't
devoid of
what went on in Black America.
That's exactly right.
That's the difference.
That's exactly right.
I mean, it's not to trying to make anybody feel bad.
Right.
Because think about it, the Indians thought the Pilgrims were all right people. Until they took the land.
That's exactly right.
You're supposed to bringing us Texas.
There's a joke, no, not a joke, but something that says that the Indians had the land and the Pilgrims had the Bible. And so all of a sudden, the Pilgrims got the land and the Indians got the Bible. And the poor Indians are still, in some situations, they're in a terrible situation too, because a lot of them are still on reservations. And every treaty that they made with America, they broke every. I mean, look, it's like if somebody happens to, we got a word for it too. If somebody happens to just put their fence on your yard, I mean, encroach a little bit. You're neighbors, you know. Hey man, we cool, man. I looked out there the other day and it's like you building your fence
on my land.
On my land.
Come on, man. I mean, I gave you an inch.
That's thing you know. Now he didn't put a driveway.
You got a driveway on your land.
On your land.
On your land.
And so that's kind of what has happened.
And get mad when I say, I mean, I need you to move your fence.
Yeah, man, would you please? I'm thinking
move my fence? Are you serious? I just built this.
I'm gonna take you to court, And so we call it adverse possession. Nowadays, don't it? If somebody openly and notoriously operates on your land and you don't say anything about it, that person is going to be the owner of that land at some point. 7 years in it now.
Well, 7 years, but I mean, they still got to do a little bit more. I mean, they got to pay the taxes.
And he got to mow it. He got to mow the grass.
He got to do some, because you can't own my land or take my land when you won't pay the taxes, because then you're not saying it's yours.
Okay.
Because if you're paying the taxes, then you're saying it's yours.
Okay.
If I go down there and they say, Miss O'Neill, your taxes are due. Your taxes not due. Dude next door paid them.
Right.
Now you need to be starting thinking about it. Because now you paying your taxes, mowing your grass. Put some fence around.
And they got a little sun. They got a little sun shade sitting out there. They out there drinking cocktails and stuff on your land. You had better wake up and do something.
You got, man. Something getting ready to happen here. It's getting ready to be bad.
But there, back to the seriousness of the matter. I remember when Dr. King was killed, and let's go back even a little further. All of the people who were interested in trying to uplift black people in America somehow met an early death, designed by the government to do it. Malcolm was killed in '65. John Kennedy. Kennedy had a lot to do with trying to get the civil rights movement through. And then his brother, Robert, was killed. I'm a student in school when all of this is going on. I saw the other day where they denied Sirhan, Perot. That's who killed Robert Kennedy. They say he would have been a hell of a president. John was a hell of a president, and so they killed Malcolm. They killed. They ran a lot of people out of the country trying to avoid being killed. Fred Hampton, Mark Clark, and some other people who were doing the Black Panther movement. They gave them a negative name there, but they were actually doing a lot of good.
Or trying to.
Yeah, well, they had free breakfast programs. They had the kids in school. They had them marching. They were doing a lot of things that we really needed in our community in order to get some discipline in the kids. So every effort that was made to try and change the circumstances for African Americans, we had something called Black Wall Street.
Yeah, my daughter actually has that picture in her office.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, really, I'd like to, next time I'm over there, make sure I get a chance to see it.
Over in Tulsa.
Yes, Tulsa, absolutely.
Yeah.
They bombed it.
Tore it up.
With bombs from the air, dropped bombs on the people.
Yeah, tore it up.
Because they were trying to assert themselves and take control over their own future. And so, you and I talked about it sometimes too there on the program about how we could be self-sufficient just by patronizing each other.
No, I say that all the time. And I'm going to end on this note. The stupidest comment I ever hear people say is, I ain't never use another black person. And I ain't never heard nobody say I'm never using another black person.
Never.
I'm like, how do you believe that even makes sense?
It makes none.
It's like, look, they're bad in everything. Well, there's bad black lawyers. There's bad black contractors. There's bad black doctors. I mean, there's bad all of that stuff. But again, that's just not one. I mean, there's hundreds of black lawyers.
That's exactly right.
I mean, there's hundreds of black doctors.
That's exactly right.
I mean, it's way more than both of those numbers. But I'm just saying, it's enough that you can consider, and you don't say that this is the only black lawyer in the world.
Right.
Now let me just tell you, whether they, you vet whoever you use.
That's right.
I mean, obviously people have good, bad, or indifferent, but you vet whoever you use. You don't go to a doctor just because that's the only one there.
Right.
You research that doctor.
That's right.
You research that dentist. You research that lawyer. And if they provide what you think you can use, maybe you ought to give them an opportunity.
That's exactly right.
So, but again, I mean, and I don't want to sound too bad about this, but like Corey. I mean, I don't know what Corey is doing for our neighborhood, for our communities.
Corey
B. Trotz.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But they make a mint off black people.
Well, and you can always tell there about who's in the commercial, who is designed to attract. When you see a lot of black people standing around
dancing,
the same thing with your boy Montesi.
Yeah.
It's the exact same thing. And Henry Reeves calls them out, says, if before you hire a lawyer, period, you ask him, how many black lawyers do you have on staff? How many do this, and how much have you put out back in the community? That should always be the bottom line.
All right, y'all. Well, look, we got a little deep here, Lonnie, but what we wanted to do is talk to you about it's that time of the year, honoring a great man and a great time.
Yes.
So, I hope you guys enjoy your Martin Luther King holiday. Don't just think about it as another 3-day weekend. Just think about why it exists in the first place.
That's exactly right. At least spend some time thinking about the sacrifice that he made.
All right, y'all. Well, thank you for watching the show. We'll see you back next week.
Tune in to Talking Law with Attorney Daryl O'Neill and the special guest host, Attorney Jerome Payne. Live TV talk on your digital device, on Roku,